What's up, everyone? As you know, the British Open, one of the most prestigious historical tournaments in the squash world, just concluded. And if you're a fan, presumably you are because you're watching this video, you know that Paul Coll played an epic match in the final against Ali Farag. Now, Paul Coll seriously played like it was like magic, and that's why my title is Paul Coll's British Open Magic. But there's this amazing backstory to this as well, which maybe you might have heard now. Paul Coll was not a good junior. He took many years to rise to the current level that he's at, and that shows his grit, his tenacity, his determination, his consistency, his work ethic, his mindset, like all of it. So this is a true underdog feel-good story, in addition to just being a phenomenal performance from a technical, tactical, mental, physical squash perspective. So I'm super pumped to share this match with you and the highlights of this match. I've really tried to break down several elements of what made this such a magical performance. So I hope that you guys enjoy and appreciate what is to come. So let's get started. First things first, what I want to talk to you about is a little bit about the high-level tactics that each player was really focusing on. So when you think about the tactics and the way each player performed, Paul Coll was just immaculate with his targets. He was hitting his length targets, his width targets, he was hitting his drops accurately, keeping everything tight to the side wall, putting Ali Farag under pressure. And not only did he hit his targets accurately, but he was doing it with variety. He was changing the pace of hitting, he was changing the height, the angles. You know, Paul Coll usually plays a pretty passive game, and he plays a sort of a medium pace, pushing the ball around, not really jumping on the tee and being aggressive with his movement to attack. He usually uses his fitness and his speed to defend. And this was probably one of the first times I've watched him consciously, actively use his speed to attack and to step up and be proactive on the tee to control it. Like it was actually a phenomenal performance. And Ali Farag did what he does best and what he really, the way he loves to play, which is push up on the tee, volley, 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 change direction. He isn't that severe with his attacking most of the time. He works to outposition and outmaneuver his opponents. And he did that really well, especially in the first game. And then after that, both Paul and Ali were playing such phenomenal squash. It really became a back and forth event, and Paul Coll was honestly just a little bit more consistent, a little bit more aggressive, just digging in a little bit deeper. It was phenomenal to watch. But before we go there, leading up to the final, a little bit of history and context. Paul Coll had spent 223 minutes on court, and he had a tough match against Mazen Hisham, and then against Diego, it was a 3-love, but it was a really hard 3-love. Ali Farag, on the other hand, played 12 more minutes than Paul Coll, and he had 2 battles with Mohamed Abulgar and with Mustafa Asal. The timing of the matches was actually really interesting as well, because both players had an easier semifinal. So Paul Coll's semifinal against Mohamed Sharbaghi was a shorter match, and Ali Farag's semifinal against Miguel Rodriguez was also a shorter match. So both players, presumably from the previous day, wouldn't have been that drained. Obviously the matches before that were exhausting, but the very previous day before the final was not that physically demanding for either player. So that makes things pretty interesting and even. Now, this is what transpired. So you can see on your screen, this was the final scoreline of the match between the two players, Paul and Ali, and it was a 65-minute 3-1 for Paul. You can see that Ali won the first game. It was a 14-minute game, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute. You can see Paul's intention, and you can see the way he's structuring the rallies. You can see that he wants to make it physical, and you can see certain tactics, all of which I'm going to get to in a minute. And I genuinely feel that even though he lost that first game, he probably felt pretty good about, for most of that game, about putting a fair bit of work into Ali and creating and setting up certain patterns from a tactical standpoint that he could then manipulate and change in the latter games. And then you can see from the second, third, and fourth games, the second game was, you know, not super long, but not short by any means. But the third game was a real beast of a game, 18 minutes for the 11-6 win for Paul. And throughout this, there was a lot of work being done by both players. But I feel that There was more work being done by Ali for several reasons, which I'll get to in a minute. And then the final game was also, it was actually close in the 11-8 in about 15 minutes. So very physically tough match. And when you think about this, here are some of the nuances of what actually transpired. So I felt that Ali Farag actually stuck to his game plan for the most part, which was to step up, to volley, and to move the ball around, the things that he does best. But here's what ended up happening. Coll absorbed all of the pressure from Ali the way he always does. But the difference was that normally Paul Coll is fairly passive in the way he plays. In this final, he was actually very proactive. He was pushing up on the tee, he was attacking, and he was volleying. But normally when he volleys, he just sort of pushes the ball and redirects it. In this match, he was volleying with purpose and his length was tight, but he was also volleying short very accurately. So big change. Previously, he's generally, whenever he has volleyed, it hasn't been a threat per se, because the player can just kind of move at a medium pace and readjust. But in this match, he was a threat off of the volley. So like I said, point 2, he did it really accurately. Number 3, he changed the angles. And what this did is Ali Farag as a player likes to anticipate a lot. He likes to cheat towards a particular side based on the quality of shot, based on his opponent's position and several other things. And he creates this judgment and this anticipation in his mind. Paul Coll changed those angles and the pace and the rhythm of the game a lot. He held the ball as well, which totally disrupted Ali Farag's anticipation. And it really got exposed in this match. Like I said, point 4, Paul held the ball, and that broke Ali's fluid movements. And then the 5th point was that Paul actually, from the front of the court, hit the ball a lot crisper and harder than he has in the past, and there was more purpose behind the shots. In the past, I felt like he would hit it, but he would just hit it to get it to the back and keep the rally in play. In this match, when he was hitting it with purpose to get that ball to fade in the back or to really make Ali do work if he reached the ball before the back glass. And then the 6th point in here is that he was patient but not passive. And that's a huge difference. A lot of players, when they think about being patient, they just get sucked into this, purposeless, nuance-free sort of, attritional old school style of game. But there's a subtle difference between being patient and hunting and applying pressure and moving the ball around and creating rallies versus being passive, which is just hitting the length for the sake of hitting the length. And because of that, Ali Farag did a lot of work. And as a result, Ali Farag eventually broke down a bit physically and mentally, and we saw Ali make way more errors than he normally makes. We saw him actually guessing a lot in this match, or anticipating incorrectly a lot in this match. He was grunting a lot of times when he was forced to make harder movements than he likes to make, and he was forced to make more hard movements than he might be accustomed to making. And you just saw that he wasn't hitting that tightly. He was going for 3-wall bow snicks a lot, maybe using that as a 1-2 punch combo, and I'll talk about all of this. But you just saw that he wasn't allowed to play the high level, top end, pressure moving positioning sort of game that he does like to play. He wasn't able to play it and actually capitalize on it the way he normally does. So with all of that, let's get into the highlights. I'm going to show you several highlights from each game and show you how and why and what happened. So here we go, game 1. The first thing you'll notice right away is that Paul Coll is hitting with so much purpose. Look at his prep and his follow through, and he's hitting through every single ball, really thinking about his targets in the back of the court. Even there, he hits down, forcing Ali Farag to get the ball before the back glass. Look at that cross-court target in the back, forcing a bit of a loose ball from Farag, and then continuing. He's volleying over there. And really, the two players are moving each other side to side, battling for that tee position. Nice little hold by Farag over there, stepping up. And this Paul did really well. He just defended so immaculately when he was under pressure, just lifting the ball accurately and eliminating the pressure. And here Farag's in front of Coll, applying a fair bit of pressure, and Coll's just doing a good job defending. And here he lost the rally, but it was a 52-second rally, and it put some work into both Farag and Coll. But I think Coll likes this kind of game, whereas Farag doesn't want to get into massive rallies like that. So see, Farag's really staying in front of Coll, jumping on the volleys, looking to control that tee. And you see Coll over here being proactive and volleying, and his volleys are actually really accurate. Normally they're not that accurate and they don't put that much pressure on, but they're really accurate in putting pressure here as well. And at the end of the rally, Farag playing a nice tight ball, squeezing the loose ball out of Coll. And that's a nice little hold. Coll's in front of Farag. Good change of pace and height by Farag to defend. Another one. Coll changes the angle there. Farag is in the commanding situation. A nice hold, putting Coll into the back. Different angle, forcing the loose ball. And see, this is what Farag did so phenomenally well in game one. He had the energy. He pushed up on the tee. Coll wasn't able to defend, and his basic game wasn't quite as accurate as it became in the subsequent games, and because of that, Farag was able to step up and volley and move Coll around a little bit more than he was able to in the future games, and you're going to see that in a minute. And here we have game ball in the first game. See both players again just battling for the tee. Farag putting in a 3-wall boast. That was a common thing throughout this match by Farag. Coll's looking to defend. Both players battling for the tee here. It's nice and tight, good defense. And see, Farag's just always on the volley, always looking to control that tee and keep Coll behind him. And a beautiful angle by Farag to finish that rally off and the game. And here we are into game two. Again, both players, see, Coll is now stepping up, broke the pattern. Good hustle by Farag and by Coll. And there's the defense, not quite good enough. Just back into reset mode in this rally. And that ends on a 10. So I want to show you guys a couple of subtleties from this rally. So check this out. See, Farag is attacking, Coll's putting some nice tight counters, but look how far forward Coll is. So check this out. So Farag puts that ball in, Coll puts the counter. Look where he stays because he has to cover the counter drop. But after this, Farag plays the lob. It's not quite tight enough. And look at Coll stepping across and slightly forward to take this ball super early and put it in short to now take time away from Farag and get him to do some work. And then from this position, most players hit the cross. So watch Farag's movement. Farag starts moving for the cross court, anticipating or cheating, however you want to think about it. His racket is up, moving for the backhand. He's still watching the ball. You can see his head is still looking in that direction. But because he's moved and anticipated so early, Coll goes straight. Even though it's a loose ball by Coll, it's in the middle of the service box, Farag barely stretches to get it. And that's a lot of work. Coll gets on it early, puts that straight drop in. That's a great hustle by Farag. Good attempt to defend by Coll. And there is a better defense. And even there, see, Farag is over on the left side. He loves to poach over on the left side, and he loves to jump on that volley once he's put a bit of pressure on his opponent. So Coll changes the angle over here really, really effectively. And because of that, Farag is unable to volley that ball and has to step back. That's a nice change of angle by Farag as well, and it's tight and accurate. It's a good attack, good defense by Paul again. And there Farag goes for the volley drop and it hits the tin. So that was another, pretty long rally, a lot of work being done, and it ended with a tin from Farag. So as you can see, Coll took a pretty big lead. He's stepping up on the tee, volleying a bunch, getting the ball into the back corners and keeping it short. Deadly combo because it extends the court for the opponent. Changing the angles again, keeping it super tight. So that right there, I'm going to rewind this right away because this is key. See, Farag hits a nice ball. Coll hits it, but look how tight it is. So Farag likes to volley these balls, but because Coll's length is this tight, and most of the time when Farag plays players and he does volley after the first tight shot. So Farag gets a tight length, then he steps up the volley, and this is where he anticipates or cheats. Coll's length is so tight that Farag, when he does play that cross court, look how loose it is. Because it's so loose, he's now stuck beside and behind Coll, and Coll has a threat of the straight drop. So he puts in the hold. Farag is forced to move in front of him and go get that ball. Now Coll's again in a commanding position. A little hold to send that ball back. Another tight ball. And then there's the kill, and again the kill is glued to the sidewall. And you know, a lot of these rallies transpired like this, and there were 30, 40, 50-second rallies, and Farag was made to put in several hard movements in each rally because of the holds, because of the tightness. So it would start off with Coll hitting a really tight ball, just squeezing it to the sidewall. Farag tries to do something with it, either a volley or whatever it might be, sort of like what you just saw. Pops up a little bit loose, and then from there Coll wasn't just playing the straight drop the way he normally does. He had the drop, but then he started holding the ball. He started changing the angles and directions, and because of that, the fluid movement that Farag normally goes with was suddenly broken, and Farag had to make the start-stop movement. He had to work around Coll and then go in the opposite direction, and all of that put a ton of work into his body. So that there was just phenomenal. So now over here, Farag, as it continues to try to attack, Coll defends really well, forcing the loose ball, and there's the big guess, and that was one of the first few guesses that Farag actually made, and then they really continued throughout this match. So watch this again. So there's the good attack. So Farag is continuing with the same tactics. Coll defends too well for Farag to volley. Farag tries to put another 3-wall boast, and most players again go for the cross court, and Coll in particular likes to smash that cross court. So Farag is cheating or anticipating the ball to come on his backhand, and he's gone way early, way over, well before Coll even hit that ball, and the result is that he has no chance. And notice Coll actually hit his nick target as well. So check this rally out. About 30 seconds, Farag has to make one hard movement. He had to make 3 hard movements with epic change of direction, whereas Coll made 2. So now if you think about that, that's 1, and there's another one. 1 more tough movement per rally. It's a lot of hard work. So Farag guessed, but he couldn't execute properly. You know, when your opponent starts guessing like that, it is a very, very positive sign, because you know that physically and or mentally they are not in a good place. It just gives you even more confidence. And that time Coll actually hit the cross. So did you see this? Check this out. Farag defends well. Coll tries to set it up. Farag takes him in short. And notice this time Farag did not start going to the left well before Coll hit the ball, because he had to cover this side. So, you know, there are a few factors at play, and this is where we talk about patterns and breaking patterns. I can link to my video with John Khan, which was one of the first videos I did on patterns. But if you check this out, Paul Coll has traditionally only shown that he likes to hit, or majority of the time likes to hit cross court from that front right corner. That's why up to this point, Farag was always cheating over to the backhand side, waiting for that ball. Because he had caught Farag out at least a couple of times already in this match, now Farag has to check his movement and actually stay here and not start moving into the backhand side before Coll's even hit the ball. And that's what you see here. So Farag says, okay, maybe the straight can come. He doesn't start moving before Coll hits the ball. Coll gets nice width, going almost into that nick. Hard work for Farag. Farag defends well. Coll's changing angles, not tight enough. And there's another guess by Farag. So check this out. Farag plays the boast to throw Coll off. And see Farag's body, his feet are angled a little bit to the right. His body and hips have turned a bit to the right because, again, a lot of players from this position will smash that cross court. So he's starting to anticipate for the forehand on the right side. Coll decides to go straight, and Farag's momentum and movement is gone to the right well before Coll has hit the ball. And here's what I want you guys to really take away. Look at the quality of the shot. It's almost in the middle of the service box, but because he broke the pattern, that's the outcome. So this goes to show you guys that you do not need to hit the perfect shot if you're breaking patterns, and starting to get in your opponent's head. So that was Coll's comeback, and the games are tied 1-1. Here we go, game 3. So here's another epic rally. It's 46 seconds long, and it was a dynamic rally across the entire court. Both players, as usual, are battling for the tee. Nice defense by Paul. Squeezing Farag a bit, but he does well to defend it too. It's a very, very tight length. That's kind of loose. Farag puts the attack in naturally so. Good defense by Coll. And there's the little boast. And see, that was really cool. Because see, this time, Farag attacked with the boast. So Farag loves using the 2-wall attacking boast because the natural tendency for the player is to hit a cross court off the 2-wall attacking boast. He does this, and see, right before Coll hits the ball, you see Farag's body angled exactly like the previous rally I just showed you. This time Paul does hit to the forehand. Farag goes for the volley, but look at Paul's target. It hits the sidewall in the middle of the service box, so he made it extra wide because he knows that Farag is looking for the volley. So that's the tip for you guys. If you're playing an opponent that likes the volley and they're good at volleying across the middle of the court and you want to hit that cross court, you need to hit it wide into the sidewall around the service box area, and then your opponent cannot volley. And look what it does to Farag. It forces him back and it forces him to defend. Players of lower levels will not be able to straighten that ball out from that position. And here you see the players really battling and jockeying for position again. And look at that angle change by Paul. So here you see Farag change the angle, and because he's got Paul into the back corner, look at Farag's body position. He's totally ready to go for that backhand. And what does Paul do? He does not hit the backhand because he knows Farag cheats over on that side. And instead he hits the cross. And look, Farag's body's still moving. His racket is all the way out to the left, but he's seen that the ball goes cross. So now he has to make a big adjustment. And Paul's cross was wicked with his targets. Look how low Farag had to get just to hit the boast. And then the little trickle boast, and Farag's a bit slow to move because Paul normally hits a straight drop. So here we go. Another more tight length. See, that one was glued by Paul, so Farag couldn't hit it accurately enough, and there's an error by Ali. So let's check this out. So here, Farag continues to volley and step up. So I put this rally in and I put this point in because you're going to notice that Farag continues to try to cut the ball off early, and he continues to do what worked really well in game 1 by holding right there, by stepping up and cutting the ball off. But Paul is doing such a phenomenal job just digging in and retrieving and then reversing the pressure when he gets the opportunity. Another great defense by Paul. Another great lift by Paul. Looks to attack, jumping on that volley. Look at that strength on the tee. Moving Farag with the boast. Great counter drop by Paul. Making Farag twist and turn by, again, breaking the pattern on that cross from the front. Paul did put that into the tin, but he made Ali do a lot of work. So now check this out. I'm glad I stopped it right here. I wanted to show you this, guys, because it's 1-1, 9-6 for Paul. They've probably been playing for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. You can see the grimace on Ali's face. You can see how hard he's breathing over there. His eyes are popping open. He's taking those big breaths of air because he needs it right now. And look at these changes of patterns. So that was the first one where Paul hit the cross drop instead of the straight drop because that's what he does best. Nice defending under pressure, forcing another boast. Farag reads that one. Coll does some work to get it. Nice defending again. And look at that lob, forcing the boast. And there's another flick. So see, the reason this is so effective, so I love this for so many reasons. Number one, Paul turns a defensive situation into an offensive situation. So Farag has him under a ton of pressure, and look at the quality of that lob. Look at the height, and it's just faded into the back. Farag has no choice but to just barely flick that boast up. Paul gets on it early, and normally from this position, Paul loves to put that straight drop in. So look at Ali's movement. He's already going in for that straight drop because that is Paul's traditional shot. And then at the last second, Paul uses the forearm to snap that ball across. It's his body's momentum going forward, and at the last second, momentum and forearm that snaps that ball across. Ali sees it, but that angle that Paul uses is so good that there's no way for Ali to readjust his movement. And you see that Paul did this at the start of the rally as well on the other side. And Ali's applauding him over there because that was pretty cool. So check this out. Defense. Oh, and I love this. Let me just slow this down. So while this is happening, look at Ali's face over here. There's a bit of a grimace on the face. He's like, oh crap, I'm gonna get stuck in the back over here on this lob. And then he has to just barely dig that out. And look how Paul accelerates onto that ball. So that's a little tip for you guys when it comes to deception. You want to get on that ball early, so use your speed to get on the ball early. And first you have to set up the pattern. So you get on the ball early and you just play that quick straight drop. You play that a couple of times, your opponent starts realizing they have to go in fast because you're getting on it fast. And then after the second or third time, get on it fast and then just change the direction a little bit, and your opponent's going to be sucked in going for that ball because in their mind, they know that that's what you're going to do. Then you change the pattern. Now all of a sudden you've messed with their heads and they're not going to be settled when you're in that corner. And that might even force them to not put the ball into that corner at all, which now eliminates 1/4 of the court for you, and it forces them to have to now do more in other parts of the court. So really, really important. Now we are into game 4. So Farag is using the 3-wall boast as a 1-2 punch combo over there. I'll link to a video with that as well for you. Coll defends really well and resets the pressure. Again, staying on the volley, staying on the tee, defending when under pressure. Farag is going for it. Paul's getting on the ball early and Farag's having to put some work in. So this fourth game was actually pretty close most of the way through. Coll's playing nice and tight, squeezing Farag there, playing some attacks. Good width by Coll, but nice defense by Farag on the stretch. Again, going for some high 3-wall boasts. And look how proactive Coll is. He's just volleying and holding the tee, moving Farag side to side. And Farag is not able to defend effectively and accurately. Oh, there's some more cheating. I'm going to slow this one down for you. See, from here, Paul normally loves to put the straight drop in. So look at Farag's movement. He takes the split right there when Paul's hitting, and Farag's racket is already on the left for the backhand. His momentum's going to the left, but you can see his face is turned because the ball's gone to the right. And then he realizes he has to adjust, gets the back wall lob in, and then Coll accelerates onto the ball, but plays a drive instead of a drop. Again, twisting and turning Farag. Nice soft counter by Farag. Good defense by Coll, not good enough from Farag. A little change by Ali, put the ball back, forcing a defensive boast, which is great. High drop by Ali, and there's the guess. Ali went for the guess, and Coll hit the cross. There's a little fist bump by Coll. Friendly push. I hate you, Paul, push. And here Coll is again at 8-6. And here, check that out. So 8-6. Ali, that rally was like 3 shots, something like that. So look, check this out. Paul serves, 1 shot, 2 shots, 3rd shot, Ali hits the tin. Like, how often do you see Ali do that? When that's a bit of a mental and physical collapse where he's frustrated and or fatigued. And that's why he's going for that serve return on the very next serve. And he goes for the nick off of the serve. I'm actually playing these rallies, I believe, in succession over here. So now Paul Coll has 4 match balls. And he's, again, staying on it. That's a nice variation by Ali. See, look how aggressive Ali is being. Same strategy from game 1. Like, he has to be this aggressive and this early and be so accurate to try to work Paul out of position. Like, Ali is literally in front of the short line. And that was a fantastic winner. So he claws back 1 match ball. 7-10. Pressure is on because Paul, he's feeling the pressure. He wants to win this match. It's good pressure by Paul. That was that hitting that I was talking about from the front. Ali steps up a lot to cover that angle and volleys that ball. Again, putting in the 3-wall boasts, trying to use the 1-2 punch combo off of it. Working Paul a bit out of position over here. That's a bit loose from Paul. Good height and defense. Ali going for it again, and there's a stroke. Pressure is probably building even more for Paul. 8-10 match ball. You know, now it's getting closer, so Ali might be getting some momentum. Paul is feeling some pressure. It's a good change of angles. Not quite tight enough. Ali's under pressure. Has to go around, and that's the match. So let me show you this bit again. So Ali puts it in. It's a little bit loose, a little bit high. Ali has to stay on the right side. So if you remember, Paul has been catching him off in this corner. So Ali has to stay and cover the right side. As a result, he's a little bit late on that cross because he's going to get a stroke if he doesn't clear out of the way really quickly. He has to really go all the way around. Look how far. He's at the other service box. And then Paul has the entire open court. And then Paul, look at the accuracy. Second bounce, almost in the back nick. Ali has to go all the way around, can't quite get to the ball. And Paul Coll is the British Open winner for 2021. Look at that emotion, that excitement. And check this out. Ali was going to congratulate him, and he moves out of the way because he wants Paul to have the spotlight. Like I loved it when I saw that. And then Ali embraces Paul. Paul is so emotional. Ali's congratulating him. And Ali had a lot of really, really kind words to say afterwards as well about how, and Mohammed Al-Shabagi actually had a lot of really kind words as well about Paul. You should check it all out. I believe it's all on squashsite.co.uk. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that analysis. I hope you saw the subtleties of what Paul Coll did. Compared to the way he normally plays, he was like a different player. He still had his fitness and his Superman qualities and all of that, but today he actually played smart squash. He created patterns and broke the patterns. He held the ball. He pushed up on the tee. He was proactive on the tee. He actually was hitting his targets really accurately in the front and the back of the court. He used his speed not just to defend, but also to attack. Those are all qualities that if he can become consistent with those qualities, he will become a consistent force to reckon with, right at the top of the world rankings. So guys, as always, if you enjoyed the video, please give it the thumbs up. Please not just like it, but please share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this analysis, and I look forward to seeing and hearing from you guys in the next video. Take care.